And if you would join us with the Pledge of Allegiance, I would ask Tim Rudd, our Clerk of Courts, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Certainly. If you would join me,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now call this meeting to order this morning, February 12th, 2020. And we'll start right in with the agenda. B, approval of regular session minutes of February 5th, 2020. Board, I know you've had these minutes. You've had the opportunity to review them, have clarifications or changes made. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of February the 5th, 2020?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Humphrey. Corcoran.
Yes.
Painter.
Yes. And now I'll move on the agenda for something that we always enjoy to do, and that is employee introductions today. Tom, if you would pick the starting point of that.
Let's see, our leadoff hitter, Tim Dick with Department of Job and Family Services. Tim?
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tim Dick, Director of Department of Job and Family Services. It is my pleasure to introduce Paige Sheridan. Paige is joining our Ohio Means Jobs Clermont Division as an Employment Service Consultant 2. She will be working with the Comprehensive Case Management Employment Program, specifically with the OWF clients out-of-school youth. Paige has earned her bachelor's degree in English from Wright State University, and prior work experience includes teaching ninth grade English for several years. And most recently, her position was in a neighboring county working for Ohio Means Jobs. So we're very happy to have Paige join OMJ.
Welcome, Paige.
Welcome.
And Board of County Commissioners, Sandy Tahat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It is my pleasure to introduce Rebecca Goff. Rebecca joined us just last month as an administrative assistant with the Board of County Commissioners Office. She has filled a vacancy due to the retirement of a long-term employee. Rebecca is currently attending DeVry University, pursuing a bachelor's degree in business management. And over the last 15 years, she has worked for a company that has underwent several mergers. And she has persevered through each of those mergers, and she had served multiple roles there, including collection specialist, admin assistant, legal assistant, and then worked for operations support. She's a wonderful addition to the board, and we're excited to have her on board.
We are.
Welcome, Rebecca.
Welcome.
And we have a new building inspector, so Steve Scott.
Good morning. I have the pleasure to introduce Miss Alex Wakefield. Alex is a new inspector for the building department. She is a Goshen resident. She's an Amelia High School graduate. She has 15 years experience in the construction field. Her specialty is in electrical systems. She owned her own business for a while. She's done a lot of work in multifamily. She has some experience at the University of Cincinnati, and she's a member of the local Electricians Union 212. And we're really excited to have her with us.
Welcome.
Good. Welcome.
Water Resources Department, Lyle, I think you have half the room, right?
All right, I'm Lyle Bloom, Director with the Clermont County Water Resource Department, and first I have Michael Clark. Michael is going to be, go ahead and step forward when I say your name. I told him, in case I get him confused, I don't want to point to one. Mr. Clark will be an Operator 1 at our Middle East Fork Treatment Plant. He's originally from the Cincinnati area. He has been working as a wastewater treatment plant operator for the village of Hunter in the state of New York. He has a Class 2A license from the state of New York, so he's going to be seeking reciprocity in Ohio to get his Ohio operator's license. We're happy to have him and to bring him on his operating experience. Next is Jeff Cranert, down at the end there. Mr. Cranert will be an operator 1 at our PUB water treatment plant, working as a water treatment plant operator. He lives in the Milford area. He has a master's in business administration from Mount Vernon Nazarene University, and we're happy to have him on board. Next is Noah Pennington. Noah's going to be working in our maintenance division in the distribution group as a maintenance technician. He's a local guy. He went to CNE High School, and we're happy to have him on board. Next is Jake Walsh. Mr. Walsh will also be working as a maintenance technician 1 in our distribution group and our maintenance group. He's somewhat local, went to Eastern Brown High School, has a Class A CDL, so we're happy to have him on board. Last but not least, we have Baron Frost. Mr. Frost also working in our distribution group as a maintenance technician 1. He has a Class A CDL and also went to Eastern Brown High School, so we're happy to have him on board too. Great.
Welcome. Welcome. Is that all?
That's all we have.
All the new employees, if you would line up here in the front, take a picture with us, we'd be honored.
Do we want to stand back here?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I get with the short people.
Thanks for choosing Clermont County.
Thank you.
You bet. Moving on in our agenda, and next up is a 2020 Census Complete Count Committee Status Update. Matt Van Sant, you are here to represent them, and Tyler Moore.
Thank you, Commissioners. It's a pleasure today to be here to announce the formation of Clermont Counts. Clermont Counts is our organization forming to do the work of the Complete Count Committee in support of the 2020 census. I'm here today with friends that are on what we call the Policy Committee. Tyler Ward is with the Census Bureau, and in a minute I'll have Tyler make some remarks about why we're here today, particularly across the hall. You'll see a bunch of us. Jeff Blome is here today representing Connect Clermont. Connect Clermont is our organization here at Clermont County to help with the implementation of the agenda for the future. And I'll ask Jeff to talk a little bit about the committee structure that we've set up. We also have Kelly Perry here, and Kelly is here representing the interests of the Board of County Commissioners and is serving as a liaison role. But really, Kelly is, many may not know, more important than that. It says in the Census Bureau documents that every 10 years we must count our people. And it goes back to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. Is that right, Tyler? That's correct. Yes. That mandates that we will do this count every 10 years, but it starts much sooner than that. And many people don't know that as early as January of 2017, Kelly Perry in the Office of Economic Development was beginning the process called LUCA. And all I know about that, it stands for the Local Update of Census Addresses, but it's an important part of this process. So we're really grateful to have Kelly here representing the Office of Economic Development and to keep the lines of communication going. We had an initial meeting back in January. We were contacted by the Office of Economic Development about this project and how important it is to involve business, the community, education, and others. And at that January meeting, we talked about some timelines. At that meeting, we again talked about committees. Would there be any funding requirements? And we got organized, most of all, to establish today as training day. So in the audience with us today are a number of our volunteers that might stand up at this time and be noticed for their commitment to help us get this job done. So we'll be going across the street or across the hall in a minute. But first, let me introduce the policy committee. And I use that term mostly just to say that it's a place to start with something that comes up as we go, because we really don't know what's going to happen. This is going to take many, many volunteers. You know, the initial committee roster is over 20, so we have a lot of work to do to move forward. Tyler, please.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Tyler Ward, and I am a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. And I am happy to be here. I'm happy to be working with Clermont County on the Clermont Counts Complete Count Committee. It's going to be a great initiative, and it's going to be very useful. So today, we're going to have a brief training, and this training is mandated by the federal government. It's just basically going to it's a train the trainer, I like to say. So it's just going to we're going to do a brief background on some of our harder to count populations, talk about our low response course, so you guys have an understanding of where to have some specific outreach in Clermont County. In 2020, we have a ever-changing census dynamic because this is the first year that we'll have online option. So all of our invitations will come out online, and I understand we want to make sure that everyone has that option to apply. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And again, thank you for having me here.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
You
Jeff
were
Blow.
here earlier with us, weren't you?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Lauren?
yes, Lauren.
Lauren,
was here.
yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Here representing Connect Clermont today is Jeff Blome. And Jeff's going to just give you a sense of what we're trying to do organizationally, getting started early with committees. So just to give the board a sense of how broad we're trying to reach. Jeff?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm actually pinch hitting for Bob Palke this morning since he could not be in attendance at this morning's meeting. Connect Clermont is essentially working with a variety of community organizations and representatives to help put in place some committees to help with the census. And so we're looking forward to that and really, again, connecting all of our organizations to help support and implement the census for this year. So we're excited to take part in the census training and helping to move things forward. Thank you.
Jeff's on our agenda a little later today to help recruit leadership by the different segments. So for example, we have a committee set up on government interests, education interests, media interests, community-based organizations. Ken James is here with Mercy Health to make sure that we get out to the folks in our healthcare industry. Business is here. Joy Lytle is with me from the Chamber of Commerce. She'll be picking up part of this project. I can't introduce everybody, but we have schools and education covered, so we have a lot of work to do. So imagine in about an hour and a half that Jeff Blome's going to be across the hall pointing at some of our volunteers to step up and lead these different committees. So that's very important. Kelly Perry, I said all I can say about the good work that you do, but just a couple more words about the Office of Economic Development's role.
I'm not so sure what their role is, but my role, I'm the GIS administrator, as you all know, Geographic Information Systems. I tried to deflect this role for myself, but here I am. I think it's partly because I was here during the previous two censuses. So I do have a lot of knowledge along those lines. As Matt said, a couple years ago, we started working with the census, providing them with all of our geographic information, the address points, and a lot of other information that we already have and maintain in our system. And I'll also be working, of course, to kind of help with those communication lines or set up meeting rooms or whatever, representing the county. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I understand that that's very important, that setting up the geographical boundaries right off the bat has to be right.
And all the addresses.
You bet.
Worked on.
Kelly's work is more important than many of us know. It's important in this process that we identify pockets of homelessness and also keep track of all the new dwellings that are built in this county. Clermont County is busting at the seams. There are some key dates. The board may not know that back in January, we started in some of the more remote areas of our country, Alaska, to do some counting. There will be a time, an evening on March the 31st through April the 1st where the homeless population in our country will be identified where are you, how many of our homeless population are there. So there are some real critical dates. As the board may have read, this is a census process that can be done in many ways. Paper, there may be visits if need be. Part of our work is recruiting. There's still many positions open for enumerators and other roles that are going to be necessary to get the job done. So thank you for the help of OED. We're going to get started on training. We have a couple of hours allocated, and we're going to do the best job we can for Clermont County.
Thank you for
Thanks,
taking
Matt.
this on, all of you. Thank you for taking this on. This is
bet.
important to the county. Counts are important. It determines how much money we get in various funding sources. So the more people we have, the better off we are.
Representatives.
And representatives, yes, Congress and representatives.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Nothing else as far as presentations, Tom?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll move to the next portion of the agenda, public participation. We've reached that public participation section of the agenda. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the board, just raise your hand. During this time, the board won't answer questions nor engage in a debate. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time. Each speaker will speak only once, be recognized by the board president before speaking. In accordance with the board's rules of procedures, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to participate in public participation? Yes. Please take the podium and state your name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Chris Wick. I'm the director of the Clermont County Public Library, and I'm here today to attend the Complete Count Committee training, so I want to make my comments brief. But I wanted to update the commissioners on a meeting that we had concerning the Ohio Governor's Imagination Library. Mr. Humphrey was there in attendance. I do have a flyer that I will leave for the commissioners and for the public about the Imagination Library. What the Imagination Library is, it's created by Dolly Parton and her foundation to bring books to children ages 0 to 5, delivered to the home so that they can have early literacy experiences and books, because that exposure to books and literature and those experiences help them be prepared for kindergarten and make them more successful in kindergarten and later in life. So where we are in Clermont County in creating this for our county is we had a meeting on February 6th. We had a lot of stakeholders there that are very interested in bringing the program to Clermont County. We have $5 million in matching funds from the governor that are offered over the next 2 years that are a dollar for dollar match for the counties that are interested in bringing that program to their county. So what we are looking at doing is creating a work group that will be meeting early in March to discuss next steps. We need a 501c3 fiscal agent. We need to build our funds to support the program, and we need to develop the enrollment coordination. So I'm really excited about the program and the library's role in this program, and other individuals. A lot of stakeholders are coming together, very excited about it. So I'll have more to report in the future, but I just wanted to let you all know what was going on to date. So
Thank you.
That's it.
Wonderful program.
Yes, it is.
Glad I was able to get the information direct.
And I understand that Mike's wife, Fran DeWine, is very, very much involved in this.
Yes, they really brought the program from Tennessee to Ohio to make it a statewide initiative. So it is really exciting, and we're not the only county not on board, but we're one of the remaining few to get it off the ground. So, but I think we're going to hit it hard. In the sheet that I have, it shows the percentage of enrollment status, and I think Clermont's enrollment is going to really be high, because I think we're going to have a lot of people interested and committed to the project. So I will leave these there, and I'll put the rest over here for people to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Anyone else like to participate from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. E, Consent agenda. A consent agenda has been prepared for the board. I know you have had it in advance of this meeting, had the opportunity to look it over. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further discussion or
I don't have any.
consideration? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as provided.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Judy.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. F, the non-consent agenda. Non-consent starts on page 5 of your agenda with item number 10. Item number 10 is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt Resolution 024-20 resolving to approve payment to vendors in the amount of $2,397,012.21 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice reports for the checks dated February 12, 2020, BCC directed prepaid invoices, or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the Clermont County Auditor on 2/10/2020, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for the same pursuant to Section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number 11.
Tim Dick, Director of Department of Job and Family Services. Item number 11 is a recommendation of myself with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to appoint the following representatives to serve on the Child Abuse and Child Neglect Regional Prevention Council for the terms outlined below for the purpose of administering child abuse and child neglect prevention programming and services in Southwest Ohio region pursuant to and in compliance with Section 3109.172C1 of the Ohio Revised Code. Those two representatives recommending are Lori Watkins, who is the Director of Behavioral Health Services with the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disability. Her term would run from February the 29th, 2020 through February 28th, 2022. And as well as Julie Robinson, Case Manager Supervisor 2 with the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services, Children's Services Division. Her term would run also from February 29th, 2020 through February 28th, 2022.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 11, the explanation Mr. Dix has provided. Do I have a motion to approve item number 11?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or clarification needed? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number 12. Thanks, Tim. Morning, Alice.
I'm Alice Frick, Chief Deputy Clerk for the Common Police Clerk's Office. It's a recommendation of myself and with concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to approve the request to advertise for the request for competitive sealed proposals for a case management system for the Clermont County Courts of Common Pleas, Clermont County Municipal Court, Clermont County Common Pleas Clerk of Courts, and the Clermont County Municipal Clerk of Courts. Pursuant to the specifications, therefore, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation for 4 consecutive weeks, commencing on February 20th, 2020, scheduling a non-mandatory pre-proposal meeting on Wednesday, March 4th, 2020 at 1 p.m. local time in the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas Jury Assembly Room located at 270 East Main Street, Batavia, Ohio 45103, with said proposals to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, March 19th, 2020, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, Ohio 45103-2960, where they will publicly be opened and acknowledged thereafter pursuant to and in compliance with Section 307.862 of the Ohio Revised Code. This notice will also be posted on the Clermont County website.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion?
This replaces the system we currently have. This will.
Yes, it will.
And we'll have several vendors that Fill out the request. Okay.
Anything else? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Alice. Item number 13. Morning, Craig.
Morning. Craig Reisner, Clermont County Engineer's Office. Item number 13 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to accept and execute the annual county highway mileage system certification for the County of Clermont for calendar year 2019, certifying the total eligible number of miles for Clermont County to be 385.324 as of December 31st, 2019, pursuant to and in compliance with Section 4501.04 of the Ohio Revised Code. So this is no change from the previous year.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13 for certification of the road miles here in Clermont County. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Cork?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 14.
Morning. Item 14 is a recommendation to accept the 2019 summary report of the force account projects that was submitted by the Office of the County Engineer. This authorized, the county engineer was authorized last year under Resolution 2719 to proceed by force account for the maintenance, repair, construction, and reconstruction of bridges and culverts and construction and reconstruction of roads. So this is just a report of the items that were done under force account. There were 63 bridges and culverts that were taken care of by the county forces.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Suki, just for the board and for those who are watching today, force account, when you talk about force account, you're talking about employees of Clermont County.
Employees, equipment, materials, all necessary in order to get the project done. The code requires us to estimate the amount that it's going to cost for the projects before we do them, because if they are over a certain level, they have to be bid. Okay, so where we're acting as a subcontractor in essence. So certain cases, it does not include where we're using other subcontractors' work, but most of the time it's just our own employees.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
And then in concert with that, we have item 15. Item 15 is a recommendation to adopt Resolution 2520, which will resolve to authorize the county engineer to employ their labor and purchase materials and proceed by force account for the maintenance, repair, construction, and reconstructions of roads, bridges, and culverts. This will be for calendar year 2020. The engineer will then submit estimates of the cost before proceeding with each project to the board using the force account assessment form that's been developed by the state auditor. And these are all, both of these are in compliance with item 554319 of the revised code.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Is this 14 or 15?
15.
Okay. Second.
Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
And we have item 16, which is a recommendation to resolve to acknowledge an electronic submittal of the Diesel Mitigation Trust Fund Program grant application that was submitted in August 1st of last year, and to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board, to execute the Ohio Diesel Mitigation Trust Fund Grant Agreement, agreement number V20F034. This is between the board and the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. What we applied for and got awarded was for the purchase of 3 Class 8 clean diesel engines, freight trucks. We're, in essence, dump trucks, which will replace 3 that we had that were of model year 2006 to 2009. It was a $100,000 award. It will end up being a $400,000+ purchase, so it was just under 25%. The vehicles that we're replacing will be 2 county engineer dump trucks as well as 1 water resources. So we consolidated efforts and went across the county and applied for multiple vehicles. This grant will be effective upon execution by Ohio EPA, which will happen after the board executes, and it has to be completed by January 3rd of 2022.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16 for the Mitigation Trust Fund Program for clean diesel. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation, clarification, or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Suki. Item 17.
Item 17 is a resolution to ratify the designation of Commissioner Corcoran to serve on the Clermont County Family and Children's First Council for calendar year 2020. And this is pursuant to and in compliance with Section 12137B1J of the Ohio Revised Code.
Heard the reading of item number 17. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. I'll second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Abstain.
Item number 18.
Item 18 is a recommendation to ratify the acceptance of resignations and appointments of the following individuals as dog wardens for the County of Clermont, pursuant to and in compliance with Section 95512 of the Ohio Revised Code, and in concert with a contract with Animal Control, with the Clermont Animal Care Humane Society. And two of our deputy dog wardens have resigned. That's Aaron Grawl and J.M. Toll. And Dustin Goodman, who is our chief dog warden, he is being reassigned to a deputy dog warden. And we have Troy Taylor as an appointment as the chief dog warden. And Carolyn, do you want to introduce Troy this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Carolyn Evans. I'm the Executive Director of Clermont Animal Care Humane Society, and I'm representing the Board of Directors this morning. And thank you for the opportunity to present our recommendation for the position of Chief Dog Warden for Clermont County. We recognize the importance of the animal control and protection function in the county and the critical role of the Chief Warden in executing the Ohio Revised Code, Section 955. As such, we've sought a candidate with the expertise, professionalism, and leadership qualities that are needed to oversee the department with our commitment to a vision of a community-based approach to service delivery in the field. It is my pleasure to nominate Mr. Troy Taylor for the role of Chief Dog Warden to ensure enforcement of animal control ordinances and related laws, rules, and regulations for Clermont County. Troy recently moved to Clermont County from Grand Island, Nebraska with his family. He has more than 6 years of law enforcement experience and has earned numerous certificates in his career, including the distinction of Field Training Officer. In his role as Animal Control Supervisor and Lead Animal Control Officer, Troy oversaw the operations of 3 officers at the Central Nebraska Humane Society. We know that Troy will be an asset to our operations at Clermont Animal Care Humane Society, and we thank you for your consideration of his appointment as Chief Dog Warden for Clermont County. And I think Troy would like to say a few words as well.
I'm just excited to be here, to be in this opportunity. It's a good opportunity for me, and you know, with the level of education, experience, and professionalism that I have, I hope I can make this program succeed and strive forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Board, you've heard item number 18. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Troy, welcome. Item number 19.
Good morning. Yvonne Smith, Benefit Plan Coordinator for Clermont County. It is my recommendation, with the concurrence of Sandy Tahat, the Human Resources Administrator, to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute a tuition assistance application submitted by Casey Scott of the ISD Department for participation in the Clermont County Tuition Assistance Program pursuant to Section 4.12 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19 and the request for tuition reimbursement. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. That concludes the non-consent agenda as presented. additions to the agenda, Tom?
We have a number of additions, 6 in total. First is an execution of a record plat 6293201. Second is an execution of record plat 6293202. Next is an execution of maintenance bonds for the Derby Place subdivision. Next is an execution of maintenance bonds for the Tartan Meadows subdivision. Then we have an engagement letter with the Auditor of State and a Water Resources Department amendment to a software maintenance and product support program.
Board, I would move that we would amend the agenda to add these 6 items on so we can discuss and consider them. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes, Tom, if you do the honor.
We'll go ahead and do the engineers' record plats first. The first is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, the county engineer, with my concurrence to execute record plat number 6293202 for Tartan Meadows subdivision located within Miami Township. And this includes Barclay Lane and Burberry Court. These are private streets not for public maintenance.
Board, you've heard the reading of the agenda item for recommendation for record plat 6293202. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second, sorry.
It's been moved and received a second. Any conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
The next item is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, county engineer, with my concurrence to execute record plat number 6293201 for the following subdivision within Batavia Township, and that is the Derby Place subdivision. Performance bond for sidewalks, $23,200. The street length of Rose's Run is .095 miles, and Trifecta Court, .036.
Board, you've heard the reading of the item for recommendation of Jeremy Evans to execute record plat number 6293201. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Bob?
The next item is a recommendation to execute maintenance bonds in the amount outlined for the installation of water and sewer main extensions. This is to serve the Derby Place subdivision, Section 1, Block B in Batavia Township. The water main extension bond is $2,300, and the sewer main extension bond is $2,800.
Board, you've heard the recommendation with the concurrence of Lyle for the Director of Utilities for a surety for the installation of water and sewer main extensions at Derby Place subdivision, Section 1, Block B. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
And the next item is a recommendation to execute maintenance bonds in the amounts outlined for surety for the installation of water and sewer main extensions. This is to serve the Tartan Meadows subdivision in Miami Township. The water main bond is $5,500 and the sewer main bond is $11,750.
Board, you've heard the request for the surety for the installation of water and sewer main at the Tartan Meadows subdivision. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
And the next item is a recommendation to execute amendment number 1 to the software maintenance and product support program agreement between Clermont County and N. Harris Computer Corporation, also known as Harris Computer Systems, whose corporate business is located in Ottawa, Ontario, and the branch office is located in Tyler, Texas, to provide ongoing maintenance and product support for the enhanced utility billing system, which represents modifications to provide 2 additional FieldHawk users as identified in the revised exhibit for a period of 4 years effective February 1st, 2019 through January 31st, 2023, for a total cost not to exceed $181,305 with all other terms and conditions specified in the original contract. The actual increase to the original contract is $750 per year. This is, again, 2 additional licenses for our Field Hawk program, which is our work order system that our maintenance folks use out in the field.
Board, you've heard the request from Lyle as written for additional software and user license agreements. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Thanks, Lyle. The execution of the engagement letter?
This is for the Board of County Commissioners to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board, to execute an engagement letter by and between the Board of County Commissioners and management of Clermont County and Keith Faber, Ohio Auditor of State, for professional services relative to the issuance of a report of findings on the evaluation of the cash, equipment, non-payroll, and payroll disbursements in the custody of the former Clermont County engineer and the proper transition thereof to the current office holder for the period of 1/1/2018 through 6/30/2019, which will also include the review of an equipment listing dated 8/13/2019 for a fee of $4,100.
Board, you've heard the reading of the request for additional audit information on the county engineer's office. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? This is a transitional audit to ensure that the takeover of Jeremy Evans is seamless and without discrepancies. Anything further? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Any other items, Tom?
No, sir.
Then we'll move to H. I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to Section 121.22, G1, and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to first, consider the employment of one or more public employees, and second, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation respectively. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. We will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you. We've returned from executive session. No decisions were made or no actions were taken. We will move on with the agenda. And we're at I, county staff elected official discussions. Do we have anyone from our staff today that would like to discuss with the board?
Commissioners, I've asked Pam Havercost to be here to talk about some high water issues possibly this weekend and what the county is doing to address those issues. So, Pam, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, Pam.
My name is Pam Havercost. I'm the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency Director. And I work with all of our public safety partners to make sure that we're prepared for large-scale disasters. One of which that we prepare for is Ohio River flooding. So as you know, we are currently under a flash flood watch that starts today at 3 p.m. and it will run through 7 a.m. tomorrow. With that, we could see heavy to moderate rain throughout the region. And in the next few days, we're going to see a rise of the Ohio River. We're currently on the Ohio River above the action stage. That doesn't really start to affect any private property or even public property. It really is an opportunity for us to start preparing if we should have any type of increased flooding. So right now, the flood projections that the National Weather Service puts out has the Ohio River cresting at the Cincinnati gauge at 53.5 feet and the Meldal gauge at 51 feet. And so one of the things we've done, so we've had some significant flooding in 15, we had significant flooding in 18. So we have a really good drafted flood annex of our emergency operations plan, and we just go back and revisit that when we get to this stage. So I actually this morning went through and updated the plan with any changes that might need to be made, and I'll be sending that out to our public safety partners to make sure that everybody is on the same page. At 53.5 feet and at 51 feet, really what we're going to see is some transportation impacts. We're going to have some low-lying areas that are flooded out, but we shouldn't see any private or public property damage, so no structural damage. We have a lot of historical data now, so I believe starting at about 48 feet, we're going to start to see road closures. But we have historical data of which roads are going to close starting at 54 feet all the way up to 57.72 feet, which is where it got to in 18. And then on the property impact, we'll start to see some property impact at 57.32, but that's crawl spaces, some properties that are already been elevated or mitigated. We'll see, you know, it on their property, but they're not going to see any first floor impacts. So again, yeah, we'll be working with our public safety partners to make sure that we're prepared. In the past, we've come to a consensus that we'll have a almost like a multi-agency coordination center. We usually place it somewhere in the New Richmond area due to transportation issues, because as not only the Ohio River floods, but we have backwater flooding, which is going to cause make it very difficult to get around. So we generally try to meet in the New Richmond area and coordinate with our public safety partners to identify where utilities need to be shut off, and what other safety hazards we might have moving forward.
Great.
So, do you guys have any questions?
No, our comment there was that just to make sure that, you know, we're prepared and we've communicated to the public, you know, what we believe the impacts will be, and that, you know, I think those people who are usually impacted like they were in 18, they totally understand now how to deal with that and how to plan. But
The biggest challenge we're going to have right now is that with the heavy to moderate rain, this is throughout the county, with heavy to moderate rain, we're going to see flooding in areas that may not have been flooded. And so what people need to understand is that if they are seeing flooding in areas that have not flooded in the past, it could be that there's clogged ditches or culverts. And so anything we can do to make sure that those ditches and culverts are unclogged, communicating with our public works agencies if they are identifying areas that are clogged so that they can get out there and clear those clogs. If the roadways start to be covered, they're going to put out, Public Works is going to put out road closure signs, and we really need the public to heed those road closure signs. We have in the past had people drive around road closure signs, drive over road closure signs, move road closure signs, and that's very unsafe, not only for themselves, but for the next traveler that comes through who doesn't know that there's high water. And you never know how deep that water is. So it's really important, and it doesn't take a lot of water to knock a person down, to move a vehicle. So it's just really important that people really heed that. And that's how we're going to save lives, is just heeding those road closure signs and not driving around those barricades. I've already shared this information and some infographics with Mike. He's going to put it out on all of our social media pages. But that's the best thing we can do. The other thing we can do is encourage kids and parents to monitor and make sure that kids are not playing in streams and creeks. The banks are going to be muddy. And as that water starts to rise and it becomes quick, that could be very dangerous. So encouraging people not to play or walk through any high water, and that will save lives in Clermont County.
So I witnessed a road closure that was covered by water, and once the water receded, you realized that there was about a 20-foot hole where the water had moved from one side of the road to the other and taken out the road. But from the top of the water, you do not see that. And so we were just very lucky that nobody went around the signs there, because they would have gone 30 foot down or 20 foot down.
And if it's a state route, a route that ODOT covers, they'll actually man it with a person. So as long as that road is closed, they're going to have a truck there and a person there. But that's not necessarily the case on our county and our township's road. We just don't have that manpower. So it's really important that once those road closure signs get put up, don't move them. Once the water recedes and the public works agencies have come out and done an inspection to ensure that the road is in good working condition, they'll reopen the road as quickly as they can.
Okay. Thank you,
And
ma'am.
we'll be working, in any situation where we have a lot of road closures, we'll be working with the county engineers, and it'll get posted on the county's GIS page, the public-facing page. I know, I believe Brad Perry with the county engineer's office, he'll update that as we provide him information. So we will try our best to make sure that that information gets communicated and updated in a routine fashion. The Ohio Department of Transportation, they also update their OGO website with any state routes that get closed down. So people can monitor those two different sites to see where there are road closures and barriers throughout any type of incident that we have.
Okay. Any other questions, clarification?
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming over. Any other staff or elected official discussion? Seeing none, I'll move to J, member comments. Board members, any comments today about the meeting? Okay. Then I would ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and it's been second. Roll call, Judy?
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes, and that concludes our meeting for February the 12th, 2020. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching today, and thanks for those who are in attendance.